This is when we actually saw the stuff we were talking about or hoped to see, and now we get it in the gaming world, and we can actually say if it looks good, if it looks bad, or we just don't care. And with me, I have the same guy who was with me in the last video, Nick Pell, who you can follow. He has amazing movie reviews because he sees everything, things I don't even know are out or what they are about. So check that out. And Nick, you can introduce yourself, even though I just did it for you, but you can introduce yourself more.
Yeah, like James said, my name is Nick Pell. My game channel is, or my not my game channel. My review channel is NDP Games. I do movie reviews primarily on it right now. So go check those out and subscribe if you like.
All right, so E3 is huge, and it'll take forever to cover every single conference. So we decided to take down a list of games, at least the ones that were announced or shown off, and kind of just run through what we think of each one. Maybe we talked about it previous in the last video that we seen it, and now we have some release dates. It's even more exciting, or we just seen totally new games. We're gonna start with the first one, and probably one of my favorite things of all the E3 is South Park: The Fractured Butthole. It is gotta be. I mean, I love Stick of Truth. It's literally one of my favorite games of last generation. So this game coming out, going on superhero themes, makes it even more exciting for me. And now they got this whole strategy turn-based system going on that's even more exciting. And I mean, the main character, Cartman, calls himself Coon. I mean, there's so much racism in that word, and to flip it and even have people excited for this game, it's just, my God, I can't wait for this game.
Yeah, I've been a fan of South Park for many, many years. I was a huge fan of The Stick of Truth when it came out, I'm just very excited to see this game because the trailer itself, just how well it just crapped on Marvel and DC. And I'm just very excited to see like how they play on the whole Civil War dynamic, which they seem to set up in the trailer. And just see how different the gameplay seems to be with you being able to interact with your environment to a degree and move around the battlefield. It just seems like they're upping the ante a little bit with this game. And I'll be kind of curious to see if they reference anything from the first game, or if they have like little Easter eggs or something. But I'm very excited to see how this thing plays out.
Yeah, I think the biggest Easter. Well, they kind of did a little Easter eggs with both. Did you see the whole presentation?
I didn't see the whole thing. I saw the trailer with Cartman like doing the battle plan and then like separating everyone and
Oh,
then
okay.
moving
Uh,
up to the battle.
yeah. So the way they're doing is you're the same main character from the first game, and Cartman references the whole part when you watching your parents have sex, and it's like one of the greatest scenes ever, and it's in the first 5 minutes of the game. I think they're gonna take right from the first one because you're dressed as a king when you begin, and so they're like, "What the fuck? We're not playing Lords of the Rings anymore," and it's just so great. So I cannot wait. But let's move on to something else that looks pretty awesome, though we saw maybe like 25 seconds worth of gameplay. Mass Effect. Uh, Andromeda.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fucking stupid name. Anyway, Mass Effect Andromeda. This looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks Mass Effect-ish. I got a tattoo on my arm, so I love this series so much. It's one of my favorite. But they didn't show me enough. They didn't give me any release date or even possible release date, so it's probably 2020. You know, how can I get that?
I think that we'll see a little bit of it at least at the next E3, like some actual gameplay, if anything. Kind of like how they did with some of the other games that they showed off this year without release dates. So I think they're teasing us at this point. They're showing like, oh hey, we have stuff that we're doing. We have these characters. I think they announced the main character's name now too.
Ryder, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited to see this thing play out. I'm gonna definitely get it when it comes out. I'm not the biggest Mass Effect fan. I enjoyed the games when they came out. I played them once, each one once. So I'm excited to see where this thing goes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan. Like, I played all of them multiple times. Love it. It is my favorite trilogy of all time for gaming. It's just, the fact is that we didn't get enough, so I can't be that excited. But moving on to something that is possibly exciting for some gamers like myself. I don't know about you, but a lot of people seem to don't care. VR, all the VR stuff shown. There's a lot of it. There's a ton of companies going for it. Sony's probably the biggest one in terms of console gaming. And I'm pretty excited. I think it looks fun. I love the idea of virtual reality. I think this is, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to take the baby steps, but I think it's a pretty big jump from what they're trying. And let's just talk about one, and probably the most major game announced with it, or that's going to use it, is Resident Evil. And it looks good. Like that's to me is what VR is going to push forward the most is horror games.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited to play because I love horror games and I love horror movies. So more movies that come into the gaming world like that, and then a Resident Evil or Outcast, no, Outlast. Those type of games are just going to be perfect for VR experience, and I'm excited to try it out.
Yeah, I mean, mentioning the Resident Evil 7 demo that they did with it, it had a very big PT vibe to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what a lot of people thought that it was going to be right away. And yeah, horror games are definitely going to benefit from this. We also saw like a Battlefront thing where you're a pilot in an X-wing, which I didn't really care that much about either. You can go into Star Trek and be a part of the Enterprise. You can be in Final Fantasy 15 and like do a first person boss fight or something.
Yeah, I heard that was really cool from people who played it. Like you actually feel like you're in the world, which I think is the most exciting fact with fantasy games is actually being part of that world.
Yeah, I think that once horror, because I think horror will be the biggest thing
Yeah.
gaming wise, which will take off right away because, I mean, it's the easiest thing to do usually. But once developers start developing these massive fantasy worlds, like open world Final Fantasy or something, which is fully accessible through VR, I think that's when it's just gonna take off. Like there's like all these futuristic shows or books or whatever that reference like these huge fantasy games like Ready Player One like stuff like that. That I think that's where it's going to just absolutely take off, and people are going to become hooked on it.
Agreed. And driving games, I think, will be the next big one too. Something to be able to be behind the wheel of like your favorite car is going to be kind of a big push for the VR. But overall, I'm pretty excited about VR. Yes, these are the beginning steps, but in just 2 years, the way they were able to move so much already, into making it that when you move your head left or right, it actually moves with the screen. Things like that is growing. And in 10 years from now, you tell me 10 years ago that everything would be touchscreen and you know the way we do things now, I would say like whatever. I had a fucking sidekick, and now fucking shit's like this. So I think VR in 10 years is going to be amazing, and I want to be in there the first few years to see how it changes.
So then, are you going to buy the Sony VR headset thing that
Oh
they
fuck
announced?
no, that shit's like six. No, just kidding. No, I do want to try it. I think I'm gonna wait till it's a little bit cheaper. I want to try it out like in Best Buy or GameStop. I hear they're gonna put it in GameStop soon. And if I like it, I'll definitely buy it. I don't have $500 to just spend, but when it's cheaper, like a $300 price tag, I think that'll be worth it.
Yeah, I'll probably also kind of lay off of the VR stuff for at least the first year or so, just so that all the bugs can get worked out.
Hmm.
People can figure out what works, what doesn't, what's not going to make people vomit in the first 5 minutes. And then once everything is kind of set, calibrated, what have you, then I'll probably dive into it. Like playing Assassin's Creed or something in VR, that could be fantastically
Or
fun.
Batman. That
Or
sounds
Batman,
cool.
because they announced like the Batman Arkham
Yeah.
thing for VR too, which I don't know how that would work exactly, but
Yeah, I'm curious. They didn't show shit. They just showed like a CGI trailer. And they're like Batman in VR. I'm like,
uh,
but what do you do? So yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. But let's get back to the gaming stuff, the real heart of it, and probably the biggest surprise. And I literally jumped up when this came on because I am the biggest fucking Spider-Man fan. He is my favorite superhero of all time. And when they showed, well, they showed Sony and then they showed Insomniac, I was already hooked. I'm like, oh, what is this? Sunset Drive 2? Are they gonna switch over? And then fucking Spider-Man gets his ass on screen. I'm like, oh my god. And then my fucking thing froze, so I didn't get to see the trailer when they first announced it. I had to go back and watch it, but I get like glimpses of him going through the store, jumping on the tables, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is the Spider-Man game I've been waiting for since I was 5 years old. So yeah, Spider-Man, the costume, I can, but there's gonna be a million costumes in the game like always. But Insomniac, Sony funding it, and then on the PS4, I am ready to play this fucking game.
I think it's also going to be influenced a lot by the new Spider-Man movie that comes out next year. And so I think that's where the costume design is kind of coming from.
Well,
It's got kind of the more techie feel to it. You're kind of the pro on the Spider-Man lore and mythology and whatnot. So maybe I'm completely off on that, but I don't know. I think that this could be the first like good Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2 came out like however many years ago. Like there's been other like good quote unquote Spider-Man games which are satisfying. Like the time travel one or like the alternate dimensions. I had a fun time with, but there hasn't really been one that's really stood out among the masses and like been a very open world Spider-Man game in a very long time.
Yeah, there hasn't been a Batman Arkham Asylum style Spider-Man game forever, and I think this can be it. And just quick note for I've been like researching the shit out of this. I thought it was going to be based on the movie, and I thought it was going to come out with the movie because I thought Activision still owned the rights, but they don't, which is a beautiful thing. Sony now owns the complete rights to the game, so they're pushing forward with this game. It's actually going to be a different story. It's not an origin. It's Spider-Man 3 years into his Spider-Man world, so he's going to be a trained Spider-Man who's dealt with Osborn before. That's why Osborn's name flashes for a second. And the creator said that they want the Spider-Man to be trained, but then something's coming that he isn't ready for. So I'm really curious to see where they're going to head with. This is going to be like the Batman of Spider-Man. Like it's his own story contained in this new universe. Very cool idea because it worked well for Batman. Even if I have gripes about the stories of Batman, I still think that it is interesting that they're going this route. I just could have swore this would have been a movie game, but thank God it's not. But yes, very cool news. But next on is a game that is nearly here. I almost forget how close this game is fucking finally here. Final Fantasy 15. I can't wait to get it. I have it pre-ordered, paid off. I'm buying it day one. The demo at E3 was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Whoever the fuck was playing the game should not have been playing the game. He was horrible. It made it look clunky as shit. And it was just terrible, the demo itself. So I was very disappointed with that. And the trailer with the fucking dubstep Japanese music or whatever that was horrible too. But I am excited to play it. It looks fabulous. As my friend puts it, looks fabulously gay in a great way. So I'm definitely going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I was gonna buy this thing since it was still Final Fantasy Versus 13. I was still planning to buy this thing, and I mean, it's been about 10 years now, I believe, like since it like first got announced.
Yep.
And so I'm very excited to see the fact that like this thing is coming out in like 3.5 months. It's gonna be in my PS4 console, and it's gonna just take all my time away. When I'm not at work, and so yeah, I'm very excited to get this thing going.
Did you play the 2 demos?
I played the one where it had what's his face as like a kid going through the world and like you have to play.
So you didn't play the first one?
No, I didn't play the first demo. I played like the thing where it's like if you beat it, you get like a special character or something.
Got you. The little one they put out. I actually liked that one, the second one, a lot more than the first one. I thought the first one was very unfinished, and then the second one felt much more finished.
Oh yeah. Actually, no, scratch that. I did play both of them. I forgot about the first one completely.
Because it's soft.
Yeah, the first one that came out. Yeah, I didn't like it that much either, and I think they used that to very much change the gameplay because it feels a lot more like Kingdom Hearts now, which is a good thing. And so it does, because the gameplay system seemed very, very complicated with the first demo, and I like literally spent like 30 minutes just trying to figure out the combat. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it just wasn't fun. It didn't have that fun feel that I wanted from the combat. The world was gorgeous, but it felt very incomplete. And then here comes this new demo, and while it's very short, you get to do the battle, and I actually was dodging. I was doing these cool counters, and I was like, this is awesome. I can't wait to get into the world now and do this type of shit.
Yeah, 3.5 months, and then it'll be all ours unless they delay it for some reason.
I swear to God, if they delay this fucking game, I'm just gonna be done with this. Okay, so let's move on to a game that I was excited for, Gears of War 4, and then after I saw that trailer, I was like, not gonna buy it.
Really?
I just thought the trailer was really boring. Like, this could be because Gears of War to me is a boring game to watch, but a fun game to play. So this could be the reason. But since none of my friends want to buy it because they said the multiplayer was horrible, I have nobody to play this game with now. And so I'm just going, and I thought the trailer just didn't get me hyped. And then I knew they were going to pull that Marcus shit where he's going to show up in the end of the trailer to sell more. So I just felt very let down with this E3's Gears of War. And yeah, that's it really on that one.
I don't know. I enjoyed the trailer. I actually just watched it before we were doing this video. excuse me, and I don't know, it got me very excited for it because the last Gears of War that I played was Judgment, which was terrible, and so it very much felt like a return to form for Gears of War. I thought the combat looked really sharp. I thought the AI that actually seemed smart. They had an enemy come at one of them and they just actually just chainsawed the heck out of them and didn't have to like get attacked for 3 seconds before doing that, and I don't know. I thought that it looked really, really good. So I mean, this is gonna be a day one buy for me, definitely. And I don't really care about multiplayer that much. So even if the multiplayer is the worst part of the game, it doesn't matter for me because I'm probably not gonna touch it.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I'm definitely gonna rent it. Like you, I came from Judgment, which was terrible, so I expect better things from this at least than that piece of shit, whatever it was. Okay, so next up, and this one, you can go on my Twitter. I was like, right as they were playing the music and everything, I was like, oh my god, do we really need another fucking God of War? And then by the end of that trailer, I was like, yeah, we really do need this God of War. I mean, this God of War is nothing like I expected it. They're going for a more slower approach in the combat, but more still had that brutal feel. Definitely more story driven in this God of War. We have a son now, and then we also going Norse. Yeah, mythology, which is cool because we're done with Greek. It's just got. Honestly, I would have loved to see them go more Egyptian. I like Egyptian a little bit more than all of them, but that's okay. I'm super excited for a new setting, new combat, new feel. Everything just felt like Witcher meets God of War in the best way possible, and I am on board. And that's coming from someone who was like, please, no more fucking God of War. So that's exciting.
I'll add something to that combination. It felt like Witcher meets God of War meets Last of Us because
yes,
a lot of those environments just looked really a lot like God of Last of Us. It's just like destruction and just like gorgeous as all hell. I think that the gameplay, like they basically they've remade God of War, and I think it looks fantastic. I like the fact that they're not just doing the same gameplay mechanics. It's not like, oh hey, fight off this batch of enemies, grab some chests, grab some worms, move on to the next batch of enemies. I think that it's going to add a lot more strategy to boss fights and like mini bosses like we saw in the trailer. I think eventually you'll be utilizing your son kind of like to an extent, like in Bioshock Infinite, I would think, like Booker utilized Elizabeth, like getting ammo or fighting to his own degree once he's like decent with a bow and doesn't shoot his dad. And I don't know, I'm very excited to see where this story goes, and see if it is like a new Kratos, just in a new situation, or if it is like the same Kratos from the original 3 God of War games. It's just been like 10 years since those events, and he's just changed immensely as a person.
Yeah, from what I read on the director, two major things is one, we are going to play the whole game as Kratos, so I have a feeling the son will die, which brings out the rage again.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that this is the same Kratos. It's I think they said 15 years later or some, or 10 years later. But that is so cool that they are continuing this Kratos, who you can sense the anger, but he's just like, no, I'm gonna chill out. Some Musa from Bad Boys 2. And it made me excited. I can't believe I say I'm excited because after the last one, Accession, whatever the fuck that piece of shit was, I was just like done with this series. I was like, no more. That was a 6 out of 10. I don't want to get any lower. And then this one made me be like, I want to play this game tomorrow. So definitely very cool.